Dr. Bradley Thayer, own Bradley Thayer's over there. First off, Dr. Thayer, I've laid out the case, and I wanted to start our kind of 2 hours with the CCP, given you're an expert. I laid out the case yesterday. That's what's concerning me the most is our strongest ally on the Eurasian landmass, the South Koreans, and some folks that we have a pretty large, I think 25 or 35,000 troops still in South Korea. The war is not over. I think it's not even an armistice. I think it's just like a truce or a ceasefire on a war that was fought when I was just a baby. Right now, a coup generated by the Chinese Communist Party looks like it's on the edge of a potential, unless there's a come-from-behind effort and a full understanding of voter integrity and stealing an election, that our strongest ally in the region may actually flip to the Chinese Communist Party camp, because this party, this progressive party got, this liberal party they got, to me is infiltrated totally with a CCP element. And that is, along with Japan having a financial crisis where they really can't finance out any long bonds right now, and they're really looking inward now of the massive economic and financial problems they have, that this is a tee-up. As soon as South Korea falls by a rigged election, you're going to have, these are not exercises anymore. These are rehearsals. Captain James Fennell calls it spot on. These are rehearsals for the invasion of Taiwan. And these dominoes are all going to fall, and they're going to fall quickly unless somehow we get engaged in this and think this through. First off, my theory, because you're one of the smartest guys I know about this region, and then number two, I want to get down to the specifics of the CCP's infiltration of South Korea in this election, sir.
Yeah, Steve, great to join you. So I think what we need to consider is that in 1950, Stalin, Mao, and the communist leader of North Korea decided to conquer South Korea using bullets. So June of this year, 2025, marks an anniversary, the 75th anniversary of the start of the Korean War. So again, the communists tried to conquer the South using bullets. Now they're trying to use ballots to do so, fraudulent ballots. And Ambassador Tan, John Mills, Grant Newsom, and I have been looking at this issue. John talked a lot, of course, as the ambassador did, about the variation in voting, the fact that so many are essentially voted and have been pre-signed. So there are innumerable problems with the South Korean election. What is the deepest problem is the fact that the CCP is conquering South Korea now, not using kinetic warfare, not using bullets, but using political warfare to infiltrate the political parties, Democratic Party on the left, and the People's Power Party on the right. If the left wins, you're going to see not just a condominium, but you're going to see a very close alliance, de facto alliance between the South Korean government and the People's Republic of China. And South Korea matters. It matters strategically because it is a very powerful ally with a formidable military that serves as one of the major northern anchors, as Japan does, of the first island chain moving down through the Ryukyus and Taiwan into the Philippines. As you well know, Steve, it matters economically because it's a thriving economy. And thirdly, it matters in the sense of political warfare, because as Taiwan shows that communism doesn't work, right? Taiwan shows what China might have been if the communists hadn't come to power. South Korea shows how a agrarian country, of course, in 1950 became an economic dynamo and a strategic dynamo, whereas North Korea, of course, is a very dangerous state with issues of starvation, of course, and the gross human rights abuses.
Repeat what you said at the beginning. It's almost stunning to hear that a political party elected by supposedly the South Koreans, but of course they're talking about voter fraud all over the place, will closely align with the Chinese Communist Party. The war in Korea 75 years ago was a war between the Chinese Communist Party and the United States of America. Yes, Koreans were involved, but that onslaught of 500,000 to a million troops of
Yeah.
the Chinese that often didn't even have weapons, they just human wave after human wave sent by Mao to overwhelm the Americans in one of some of the bloodiest, most heroic fighting in the history of the United States Marine Corps and the Army. I mean, for you to say it, it just sounds, it's so unbelievable that you could actually have a government in South Korea that was not just aligned, but like inextricably linked with the Chinese Communist Party, sir.
It's real, and it very well may happen on Tuesday, Steve. This isn't hypothetical. This is in real time. There's still elements that might be done, but it's going to be a very tight election. And with the shenanigans, of course, that John Mills talked about yesterday, there's significant voter fraud. But the CCP, of course, is expert at waging political warfare. While they support the Democratic Party, that is the party of the left in South Korea, the People's Power Party, or the PPP, also is divided. And there is Chinese influence, PRC's influence in the PPP too. So there's a division within the PPP. So the Chinese Communist Party, the PRC, are playing really with loaded dice in many respects. There is a preferable outcome, and that is that Kim Il-sung under the People's Power Party wins on Tuesday. That's a much better outcome for the South Korean people, the U.S., our allies in the world, than if Lee wins, the leader of the left-wing Democratic Party. So, but the influence of the Chinese Communist Party in South Korea is deep. It's been happening over decades. And the PRC has been expert at influencing their media, their
The
political
yeah,
parties,
the
their
the
economy.
PRC the PRC has fifth columns in Japan, but particularly in Taiwan, 25 or 30% of the people would welcome an invasion, would they not? I mean, is my theory the case that you're going to see the dominoes? And do you agree with some of our other colleagues, particularly Captain Jim Fennell, that says, "Hey, these are rehearsals; these are not exercises around Taiwan, sir."
Yeah, Jim Fennell is Captain Jim Fennell is absolutely right. These are We've been seeing it in 2023 and 2024 and this year that the PRC is again it's a hyper aggressive state, and that aggression takes a kinetic form as we saw in Korea. Right, those were the bullets, but it also takes the form of political warfare. Right, voter manipulation, the ballots that they can manipulate. So it is waging either kinetic or political warfare all of the time in international politics, and it has since it came to power in 1949. So no country is safe, really, from the depredations of the Chinese Communist Party. That includes, obviously, the U.S., as you've stressed for so many years, but South Korea, Japan, Taiwan. We see the aggression in the South China Sea, for example, where the Republic of the Philippines, a U.S. ally, is being coerced by the PRC as well as other states in the South China Sea. We see it with India. We see it most tellingly against their own people, right? Where the Muslims, the genocide against Muslims in Xinjiang, or the Tibetans, the gross human rights abuses, denial of religious liberty, right? The evil of the CCP is on display all of the time if you'll only look, as well as its aggression. Again, if you'll only look. So there's a chance in Korea, of course, on Tuesday of having the better outcome for the South Korean people, but we'll have to see.
Right now, we got to bounce. If you had to call it right now, is this too close to call, or what does your gut tell you?
The thumb of the CCP is tilting it towards the left Democratic Party. So
Wow.
it's If it were a free and fair election, the PPP would win, but it's not a free and fair election because
Of
of the
course, it's not.
manipulation. So we want it's going to be a close election, but things are not looking good. So we need to have, for example, Steve, an ambassador in South Korea, right? We've got an acting
Yeah,
one, but we need an ambassador and a team to come in here
yeah,
who's really going to be a tiger in dealing with the issues and ensuring
yeah.
that the South Korea is not lost precipitously to the Chinese Communist Party or at all. So we've got to think the
Yeah,
CCP is waging war. They're using bullets and ballots all the time. It never
all the
ends.
time.
It's 24/7.
Never ends
And
until they're taken down.
a lot needs to be done. There's
Till
still a chance, though, and I think recognizing the sacrifice on June 1st, where
yeah, Sunday tomorrow.
1.2 million people, South Koreans, died, as well as over 36,000 Americans and almost 100,000
Yeah,
Americans were wounded in the Korean
yeah.
War from 1950 to
Unbelievable.
1953.
Dr. Thayer, we got to bounce. What's your social media? People need to keep up with you nonstop of
Uh,
this.
yeah, Brad Thayer on X, and then Bradley Thayer, Getter and True. Thanks so much, Steve, for calling attention to this.